Yo, welcome to another edition of the Speaker Geeker Podcast. I'm your host, Steve. I got my brethrens with me once again, the triple threat, the Death Triangle. If you watch wrestling, if you're not watch wrestling, you know who the Death Triangle is. But today we actually got a cousin of the show, and instead of the Death Triangle, we're gonna be the Four Horsemen today.
There it is.
Okay, there we go.
Another wrestling reference. So, without further ado, of course, my dog Tommy T is in the building.
What's
my
happening?
boy G is in the building, and we got Stan Dingo in the building. Ladies, keep your shirts on. I know that just threw you all for a loop, and you can talk to him later about that. But
don't let my wife hear that. Don't let my wife hear that.
Oh, sorry.
You gonna see that door behind me?
Oh no! You gotta warn her, brother, man. Shout out to Stan Dingo's wife. Without further ado, today's episode is a special one because we are talking about a topic that the Source actually put out. I think the Source originally put out the article, and I think it kind of went wild on social media.
Yeah,
I know when I saw it on Instagram, it was from the Source. I don't know if anyone.
I saw it from Rap Caviar. Tweeted it.
Rap Caviar.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of took legs and went everywhere. So I don't know exactly where it originated, but we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of hip hop during the 2010s. And currently what they had on the photo was Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar. And then they said, all right, who will be the fourth one? So today, that's what we're going to be discussing. Going to have some cool barbershop talk. We're going to kick it. We're going to laugh. Of course, we're going to bring you the news with Tommy T, and we're going to bring you what's in your speakers with G. And you know how it goes. So hop in, enjoy this ride. And if you're catching us on YouTube, please, there's a little bell there. Right there. It's a bell. It looks like a bell. And you can push it and I think it'll turn red. So it's pretty easy to do. That way you can catch everything we got going on 3Amp Media, Speaker Geekers, Mother's Milk, Let's Discuss whenever we record that. And also August Love Story, as well as any reviews and stuff we got coming out, because we're doing a lot of little one-off things. But if you're catching us on your favorite podcast platform, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode, because there's a lot of episodes that y'all probably missed, but y'all might not have missed. But there's some cool episodes, because I think we did something kind of similar to this once before, somewhere in there. So you can catch that.
Last week, I believe.
Yeah, it was a nice one last week.
Yeah.
So without further ado, man, let's hop into it, man. How y'all week's been?
Man, the week's been good, man. 3-day weekend this weekend. Grilled already twice.
Damn.
Twice.
Yeah. I had to clean off the grill, and of course, cleaning off the grill, I got to throw something on that motherfucker.
Might as well.
Yeah, right.
Makes sense.
Is it grill hot? Hey, man, let me just go on in.
Right. Exactly. Let me just throw something on here. So I did little hamburgers and brats, and then, next day, chicken and ribs, man. So,
yeah.
Gotcha. I saw a photo of them ribs.
Bruh.
So you did a mustard base?
I used a mustard binder, and then usually I just use olive oil binders on my ribs. But I was just like, so many people have talked about using mustard as a binder, and I never tried it. And you can't taste the mustard, man.
So hold up. For the people that don't grill as often, you said a binder? So not a base, but a binder.
A binder, it basically helps the seasoning stay on the meat.
Oh, so it's the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Tommy, question for you. Did you like the mustard over the olive oil? Because I feel like olive oil still works better.
I think I like olive oil, but I couldn't taste the mustard.
No, you can't taste it.
At all. So it's I like olive oil a little bit better because of it's like mustard has the smell, and then you see all this stuff from like putting it on. Like I massage my meat. It sounds crazy saying that, but I massage meat.
Most men do.
Right.
You'll be here all week, people. All week.
At least all today.
Right. You ain't said nothing new, man. We already know. Keep going.
But just to clean up in it, man, it's a little bit better with the oil. And stuff, man. So, which sounds crazy saying, because oil is like gets everywhere once it starts going. But like I personally like olive oil, but I can see myself using mustard, because we usually have a lot of mustard around. So, but yeah, that was the first time I used it that way. I got kind of carried away this yesterday with my stories, talking about the smoke color. And then the temp gauge and all this stuff. And man, it was just crazy.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's my smoke talk, man. That smoke talk. You look, we can shift this into a whole nother podcast. Right. We can go into it. Look, and we can talk about some grilling, man. Some grilling and smoking.
Man. Nah, it's just, man, that's like, you know how some people like to fish and just be cool and fishing. Like grilling, bro, it's like I'm in a Zen mode, you know? Mm-hmm. And the crazy part is I love to learn, like, from other people, like different techniques and stuff like that, man. It's so much fun, man.
Gotcha. So for everybody who's listening and wondering why we ain't talking about music, why we talking about grilling, it's because by the time y'all hear Memorial Day would have passed. So happy Memorial Day. And shouts to everyone who is eating leftovers, because I know y'all are. Y'all eating a lot of leftovers. Better not be eating no leftovers from Friday. I tell you that. You're going to be sick. All right? Sick. But without further ado,
look, I had to think about it. Was I still like eating leftovers from Friday?
I'm gonna be quiet because depending on the food, depending on how it was prepared, there's different dates for when you can keep eating food depending on what the food is. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, you definitely got to pay attention to that. G, what's going on over there in Houston, man?
Man, nothing. Chilling. This is like the last week of work because the kids get out of school and stuff. So the kids got out this past Thursday, but I got to keep working up till this upcoming Thursday, and then we out for the summer, and we don't got to go back until I think the end of July. So I've been doing that and then preparing for this trip because we finna head up to Seattle to see my younger sister graduate. We leaving out of here next Saturday. So
okay.
We're going to be out there for a couple of days. I think we staying through Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be there for a little minute. Outside of that, man, nothing going on. We over here chilling. It's 3-day weekend, like Tommy said. I ain't cooked nothing because I ain't got a damn grill. But we just been chilling, man. We went over to some friend's house the other day and we played some Uno. Like we were talking about earlier, and everybody do got different rules. Telling it get on my nerves because I like to play triples and doubles trains. Tommy called it stack, but we called it triples and doubles.
Yeah,
and so like stacking them jumps up, and they were like, "No, we can't do trains. We can't do trains. You can't do no sequence." I'm like, "Nigga, this shit gonna make it boring." You're gonna be sitting here all day waiting on you to lose. So
it's got to be a quick game, so you got to add them extra things in.
You got to make it quicker because then when you have more people involved, it makes the game go fast.
Right,
and it's also more exciting for when you stack up them draw twos and draw fours and all that shit that the Uno people said you really can't do.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much it, man. We ain't been doing shit around here.
Word. Hey, you know anybody in Seattle that work at the Nike factory up there?
Hell no.
He's gonna be like,
I just thought I had to throw that in there real quick.
Right. I ain't that connected, nigga.
He was like, I'm gonna give you a few dollars, man.
Yeah.
Gee, you better off hollering at somebody that catching that stuff off the trains in Memphis. That's how most Tennessee folks.
I can help
most Tennessee folks get their Nikes.
Look, I still know that story till this day. I'm like, man, crap. Shout out to the South Memphian too. I just got my homeboy Money Mark. That's his homeboy, and he get all the shoes. So I'm like, okay, I'm on his page, so check him out. So shout out to him too, as well as OG Boot Dirty. So I know you're gonna be listening to a lot of music. So on the way, so how about we get into it, G? You ready?
All right, then, man. Let's do it. let's just talk about what we've been listening to this week, man. I know, first of all, I wanted to shout out to Steve, man, for putting me on this. Is it Masego? Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Masego. Yeah. Masego. Bro, this junk is fire. This studying abroad, extended stay. I had that junk playing while I was in here making some salmon the other day. That shit was amazing. I was like, this is perfect fucking vibe for what I'm doing right now. Cooking up my goddamn salmon and my broccoli and my rice and my corn while this nigga just talking about being off in a different world, bro. That shit was great. I also listened to, I think it's Mariba, and I don't know if it's Azeb or Azeb, but everything is fucking capitalized, so I don't know how she wanted me to read that. But I listened to that. That's another good little vibing album right there, or EP. I have to listen to it again, but I know right now my favorite song out for there is Rider, and I'll be getting back to that. Then I also listened to the new DMX, Exodus. I got a chance to listen to that. I can't remember what was like my favorite off there. I was sitting there sending it in the Slack to Tommy and shit, and I forgot what the fuck song it was. It was damn. I gotta try to find it right quick. It was all right. I think it is Hood Blues. That's what it is. Yeah, Hood Blues. And then everything after that, I like that little sequence. So it was like Hood Blues, then Take Control, and then Walking in the Rain, and it kind of ends out with like his more touching type stuff. But it's just DMX, man. It's what I expected. It's exactly what I expected. You had some features on there, a bunch of damn features. I did like the features with Jay-Z and Nas on there. But from something that I read, they said that was recorded for a song or recorded previously, way early. But I still liked it. Yeah, I still liked it though. And then Moneybagg Yo was on there, and I was just like, how did shit happen?
Yeah, right.
Like, that was my only question. It was like, bro, how did this even come into existence? But I listened to that, and then I also was sitting here eating dinner the other day, and I was listening to Mary J. Blige, My Life album. And I don't even remember why, but I got into it and started listening to that. Me and Alice sitting here listening to it, and I was playing that CD and something else we was listening to that day as well. But it's not coming up right now. Maybe I didn't play it. But that's pretty much it. That's my week, man, because like I said, it's been a busy week wrapping shit up at work. And so I haven't had a chance to really listen to nothing because I've been just busy moving around. And this ain't like my normal work where I'm sitting down writing a report and shit, not gonna listen to music. This is the get up and move files from location to location and shit. And I'm like, bro, I'm tired of this shit. But so that's what I'm gonna be doing this week too, is just wrapping shit up with files. But let's kick it off. We're gonna do it in reverse today. Steve, we're gonna start with you, man. What you been listening to this week, man? Go ahead, pull out the scroll.
Right.
Man, the scroll might not be this long this week, but I'll try.
We heard that before.
Yeah, we have.
Heard that before.
Okay, my bad. So let me make sure I say his name right too. Masego, definitely listen to that. And it's crazy because I took a risk on listening to it because I just saw it in the album cover with just screaming out. And it's this guy that's just in this mauve suit just looking at you in the wilderness. I'm like, oh my God, I just feel like there's going to be a vibe for some reason. So I hit it, study abroad, and we found out real quick it was. So I'm going to go back, listen to some more stuff from him and just kind of see where it's coming from. But I really, really enjoyed it. From there, I finally gave that Benny the Butcher 38 special a true listen. Trust the Sopranos. Yo, I mean, it's just classic Benny, man. I love Benny. Benny be going. But 38 special, I'm really beginning to dig him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else he got. I don't really have a favorite song on it yet, but, we'll see. Exodus, DMX. Look here. As y'all know, I am a DMX fan, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed the album, but I did feel it was just too many features, and I just feel like X wouldn't have that many, but understanding the circumstances, I think they wanted to get this done. But it's not bad, but it's not, it's cool. Hood Blues, definitely one of the hardest songs on there, in my opinion, but I'll be honest, Letter to My Son is probably my favorite favorite one on there, as well as Walk in the Rain. Just like G said, Moneybag showed up on here and I just didn't understand it. I was completely confused. And my whole system went off like error. Like why is he on here? But nevertheless, man, shout out to Moneybag. Yo, I was actually on this live and he was like, yeah, I'm on that new X Legend, ish. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Well, it has to be amazing though.
I mean, it has to be
from his standpoint,
Yeah, I think so because I mean, the song's not bad either. It's just
it's not. It's
just a weird combination, but the fact that he's on there, I think that's a big look for him. I think it's a major look for him actually, and we'll see where it goes. Of course, the song with Nas and Jay. From what I was rumored, it was recorded back in 2016, but it didn't get released, and now we finally got it. And I mean, yeah, it's hard. I'm just gonna be honest, but yeah, just a lot of features. That's my only thing about it. But given the circumstances, I mean, we got what we got. From there, I decided to check out this one album, and I'll be honest, I thought it was something else, and it turned out to be something else. Fire in Little Africa. If y'all have a chance, go check that one out. I'll be honest, when I saw the album cover, I was like, hey, this might be something with Toby on it. But all it says is Fire in Little Africa. So I wasn't sure. Kind of like that whole Jeezy situation with Boston George and Diego. And you don't know Jeezy is Diego. But so I clicked on it. I was like, man, this look like this might be kind of cool. But it turns out it's just Fire in Little Africa is this big, I think it's like a compilation album and of a lot of
this is a lot of people.
Yes.
God damn.
Yes, a lot. And I was thoroughly surprised, man. It's 21 records. So if you might want to listen to it in sections. But man, I enjoyed it and I got a great vibe from it. I think, man, y'all give it a listen. Let me know. Let me know if I'm reaching or not. But I kind of enjoyed it. It was kind of cool. It is a lot of people on there though, but it was pretty cool. A lot of people I've never heard of either. So that was something interesting from there. And I don't have a favorite song off of that yet. I'm still kind of getting through it, but we'll see. Maybe next week I'll have one. From there, I'll be honest, this might be, I went back to 42 Doug and Shiesty Season Spring Deluxe. Yo, that's Shiesty Season Spring Deluxe. It just, I don't know. Pooh Shiesty is becoming a man. He got something. But we got to see what the follow album does. And then of course, listen at 42 Doug, Freedom Boys. Just kind of enjoying 42 Doug. 42 Doug dope. Anyway, but two Memphis rappers doing their thing, man. From there, man, I want to hear some Sahara Prince. It's just random. And I was like, what's Sahara been? So I listened to No Dope on Sunday. I don't know why. I feel like they added a song, but I don't think so. I don't know why I thought Amen was not the original intro. But of course, man, it's No Dope on Sunday. It's No Dope on Sunday. If you've heard that album, I really wish we got more from Sahara Prince, but I know he's just like writing a lot of music. But, I wish we really did get more from him. And I hope he's doing well ever since that whole car jacking, shooting, no shoes, running out the woods thing that happened. I hope he's doing all right. From there, I felt real springish. And I know we talked about it last year, but the song 2 Chainz Moneymaker, I really feel like I wish he would have released it this year. Cause I think, we coming on the backside of the whole pandemic. Yeah. And I think we're going to get a couple homecomings. I feel like it's perfect now for that record. But nevertheless, it's 2 Chainz, man. And from there, I got on a Future binge. So I never really listened to High Off Life. I never really just gave it an actual chance. And then I sat down and actually listened to it. And man, it's slapping. I don't know why I completely missed this album, but I think at that point I was just kind of tired of hearing Future. And the singles he was putting out was kind of like, like he was on his Future Hendrix type of deal. It was kind of like, okay, I don't know if he's rock star or if he's rapper Future, but from there, Hive Life. This new single he got with Hot Boy and Future, Nobody Special. I checked that one out. It was cool. And then I went back to one of my favorite mixtapes from him, Streets Calling, by Future. And really, man, that actually rounded out my week.
Okay, man. Okay. You ain't disappointed, bro. It's okay.
Yeah,
we always take the scroll, man. You didn't disappoint. You did your thing.
Right.
Stanley, bro, what you been listening to this week, man? What you been on?
What's up, man? So in light of the debates that's been going on our Facebook group, I also went back and listened to Crit, man. I went back and listened to his last few albums. The only one I didn't go back and listen to was my favorite album of Crit, which is Returning Forever.
Yeah,
that to me, I know it's technically a mixtape, and if you consider it a mixtape, that to me is top 5 mixtape of all time. Like it is an album as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. That's the only one I didn't listen to, only because I was mainly streaming music on Spotify, and that's not on there, and I didn't feel like switching my Bluetooth over to my other phone. Yeah. Shout out to 2 Chainz. Titty 2 Phones is what they call me in the streets. Anyways, I went back and listened to a lot of Crit. I'm mad because I forgot to go check out Mariba's album, and I love Mariba. She is so dope and consistent with everything that she's come out with recently. It's just been on the money. Her features have been great too. I can't believe y'all just now catching on to Masego. Masego was dope. When you go back and listen to that Lady album that came out 2018, oh man, you are not going to be let down. If you like what you heard so far, Lady was slept on, and that album is fire. Like Masego, I saw him in concert, he's a cocky dude, but he puts on a great show. Mm-hmm. Big fan of him. So shout out to Masego. Y'all was talking about him. So yeah, that's one of my favorite artists, newer artists. I haven't been listening to outside of Crit. I listen to a lot of my own playlists, and I know that sounds like, sniffing my own Kool-Aid or whatever, but you listen to an album and you get 1 or 2 songs on there you like, on most albums, right? You can't listen to the whole thing. And I be like, when I listen to music, a lot of times it's to coordinate with whatever I'm doing. I'm riding in a car, I'm cleaning, I'm cooking. So so sometimes I listen to stuff to give it a listen, and usually that's in the car. It's something about in the car that, especially the hip hop albums, they feel different. You listen to it on your speakers in the house, it's cool. You get if I don't like an album at first, it's like, you know what, let me get in the car and ride with this and then see how it feels. So if I'm not riding in the car and I'm at home, I usually want something that's going to give me a vibe. I don't have to worry about going back and skip and be like, what the hell is this? And skip it to I can't stand that. When you doing something, your hands wet because you trying to put mustard, say you massaging your meat like Tommy be doing. It's like, I don't got time to be trying to switch songs. I needed to go to the next song and be dope. So I've been listening to my playlist, man. I got a playlist for I'm an 80s person. I love 80s music. I feel like 80s is the greatest decade of music. So I have a playlist dedicated to nothing but 80s tracks. Mostly R&B, some hip hop in there, but just all my favorite 80s tracks. So I ain't gonna bore y'all with all the names that's on that playlist. But if you need to listen to some good 80s music, I got you. I like making playlists. So if for every once in a while, summer comes around with a lot of good music. I think this summer is gonna be interesting. It's starting to heat up as far as dropping tracks. Last summer had a lot of really good music come out between the end of May all the way through September. Some great summer tracks came out. So every once in a while I make a summer playlist, and 2020 had a great summer list, and 2018 had some fire tracks. That summer, I don't know if y'all remember 2018. Yes. Look, Buddy, I don't know if y'all mess with Buddy. Yeah. Buddy had that album that came out around that time, so he had some tracks on there. Masego was on my summer 2018 list for his Lady album. Man, Toby Lou, I don't know if y'all know Toby. Boss Boss album came out in 2018. That Tribe with J. Cole, one of my favorite J. Cole features. Mac Miller, that Swimming album, that's summer 2018. The list goes on. So I was listening to summer 2018 and summer 2020 most of the weekend because me and my wife been kicking it. We've been drinking and eating all types of food. We just like made huge brunches and I've been grilling. So we just been like chilling out on the porch. So I needed like good vibes. So it was mostly like outside the crib. I was mostly listening to my summer playlist. And then when we was cleaning, that's when you hit the 80s, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have that Luther. You gotta have that, you know, so you gotta have that cameos, you know, that old school stuff while you're cleaning up, man. So that's where that 80s playlist came in. But that's mostly it, man.
Okay. I agree with you on that summer 2018. I actually think 2018 was one of the best years for hip hop music in like the past 10, 15 years. Honestly, it's really, really good. Just packed. I'm still discovering music from 2018 that I didn't know existed.
Same.
I'm like, damn, this shit came out too? Damn. But yeah, definitely. Tommy, what you been on, man?
I ain't gonna hold you long. Man.
Yeah, for a good time, not a long time.
Right. I must say, Stanley's playlists are like, they be on point. Like, he'll put them on Spotify and you just be like, you can't find anything to listen to? Go to Stanley's playlist. And you'll be.
I put a playlist in the chat, man. I put it in the chat.
Yeah. Do it. But I've been on it. I listened to DMX Exodus. I didn't finish it. Yeah. Devin, like I don't look like it's like the songs is like Bath Salt. I think that's the name of the song with Jay-Z and Nas. I like that song. I didn't too much like the song with Lil Wayne and Swiss Beats. I felt like Swiss Beats was like kind of too much in there. The song with Moneybagg Yo, that was cool. I only made it to Hold Me Down with Alicia Keys. So that's 5 songs into it. You know, it was necessary for it to come out. Everybody been waiting on the DMX album to come out and everything. So I appreciate that. Oh, and Hood Blues, I listened to that as a single. That was super straight. But you know, that's what it was, man. It's just we appreciate his career. You know, it's gonna get listens because it's DMX. What else? Pussy So Good. Song by Devin the Dude featuring Underboss. Like, names be tripping me out, man.
Man, Devin the Dude good for that shit.
Yeah. Ain't he though? I went back and listened to Moneybagg Yo, A Gangsta's Pain. Maybach, 42 Doug featuring Future, and I'm probably gonna get into that a little bit later. What else? It was a playlist on Tidal called Cookout. So just to name a few songs. I always like to listen to Summertime when I grill, because that's the way I feel. Like, that's just a big party, you know. And every time I grill, it's like a party in my head. So, what else? Candy by Cameo. Like it's funny. Like, on here, they was like your top music from the month, and Cameo was like number 1. So
damn.
And the reason being is we had that discussion about finding out Candy was actually about cocaine. Let's see. Let's Groove was on there. Before I Let You Go, both versions, Beyonce's. And who else? Maze, Frankie Beverly and Maze. What else was I listening to? Oh, Juvenile, Back That Ass Up. Then I started swag surfing. Bruh, one thing I wanted to say about swag surfing, then I'm done. It's pretty much everything else was in the playlist. Swag surfing came out maybe 2006, maybe 2007. Probably 2007. You know what I'm saying? Let's just say 2007. It's 2021. What's that, 14 years? This song still has the same effect that it had in 2007, bro.
You said what song again?
Swag Surfing.
That junk came out in like 09.
Was it?
Yeah, that was
09?
It does not feel like it doesn't. Whenever it came out, I was in college, bro. I've been out of college for a very long time.
It's been a minute. Still,
it still has the same effect that it had.
Yeah,
when
that's
we was
2009.
It's 2009.
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard the shit.
Yeah, I think you're thinking more of a Party Like a Rock Star.
I am thinking about Party Like a Rock Star.
That was like 2006.
That was 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
But Swag Surfing has the same effect that it had.
Yeah.
Then because everybody knows how to. It's crazy.
Let me tell you about this shit. Let me interrupt you right quick.
Go ahead.
Because the first time I heard Swag Surfing, bro, I was in the club in Knoxville, off at college and shit. I don't even remember what the fuck the name of the club was. It was somewhere in the old city.
Yeah.
And
Red Iguana, was it Red Iguana?
Maybe, I don't fucking know. I just hopped in the car, but I get there and we go inside and shit, and like Swag Surfing came on, and it was the first time I had ever heard the fucking horns and shit. But niggas already knew what to do and shit.
Right.
So I was mad. I was like, what the fuck did I miss? Like, because it just overtook the whole club. Everybody knew to start rocking.
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And by the time the song go off, I'm a pro. I'm a professional swag surfer, nigga. Like, I have a fucking surfboard and everything.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even realize what it was. So every time after that, since then, like you said, it has the same effect. And I think I'm glad I experienced it that way the first time and not like hearing it by myself. Because that's not a song you hear by yourself.
No,
not at all. Outside in the clubs and shit, man.
Right.
Swag surfing is a Negro spiritual anthem.
There you go.
It is on that list. My favorite part about swag surfing is the swag conductor. Have you seen that person that gets in front of everybody? All right, we going this way first. We going this way first.
You gotta have it because you gotta have it because somebody's just, you know how we do. Somebody just not paying attention is like completely like rhythm inclined, and they gonna bump into everyone else. Like, bro, we going this way first.
We going this way first.
Like, and most time it's a countdown, and like
the song is perfect.
And I mean, even the song counts down. It's like
they don't say a thing for real. Like, it don't get started. It give you a second to kind of figure it out. Okay, we going this way. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
right.
And before the beat drop and shit, everybody's still trying to get on fucking get together and shit. And then once the beat drop, you got to hurry up and be in it. If you're not anybody in, get the fuck out the way.
Get out the way, man. Get out the way. It's funny, man, that y'all bring that up, man, because like I don't remember how I learned it, but I remember my version of it. Like like, you know how like real surfers, I don't know how I figured this part out, but real surfers, they got to swim out to the wave. Yeah. So I was like, well, fuck it, man. That little intro part, I'm gonna just go swim out to the wave, man. Then when the beat drop, that's when I get on the board, man. Like that shit it's like all fun, man. It's like, it's the dopest thing. And it's cool now. You see it at weddings. Like we played it at our wedding. And everybody just swag surfing. You see it on videos now. Little babies be swag surfing. Be like, how they learn that? You know, Lily knows how to swag surf, but it was inbred in her, man. It's like you can't be a child of mine and not know how to swag surf. So, but like it's one of the coolest songs of my lifetime to actually see do well over the years. You know what I'm saying? So. But yeah, that's my list, man. That's me this week, man.
All right. Go on, jump into the news then, man.
I was getting there.
Dramatic pause and shit.
Right. I'm just trying to find a spot for myself. That's all. I'm trying to see where we're gonna start at.
I'm still trying to picture him swimming out to the wave.
Like,
I want to know how that works.
Bro, this shit it's cool. Like when we're all together, we're gonna have to swag surf, and I'll show you how to do it. No, bro, you get on your way. You get anyway. News this week, man. I want to start with Naomi Osaka. She was hit with a $15,000 fine for skipping post-match interview for her mental health. I've always liked Naomi Osaka just because of you know how she embraced Coco. that I think it was a year or two ago. Coco, I don't remember her last name, but she was like 15 years old, tennis star, doing amazing. And that's something we had never, and she was a black girl. That's something we had never seen before. Then she went against Naomi and lost. And instead of Naomi taking the interview, she allowed Coco to interview with her, because that's an amazing run for a 15-year-old girl to play basically her, her peer and somebody she can actually look up to. But Naomi really stands for a lot of things, and she takes her platform and uses it for a lot of positive things. So recently she announced prior to the 2021 French Open that she would not be engaging with the press due to mental health concerns, and cited how the media has often mishandled questions in their press conferences. What I wanted to ask you guys was, how important is mental health? Because I'm going to get to another thing that happened with Kyrie Irving yesterday. How important is it for the media to understand that athletes are still human beings? And how important is it for fans to understand that athletes are human beings? And basically, what other options do the athletes have? Because a few years ago, we also looked at Marshawn Lynch doing an interview. The only thing he's saying is, I'm only here so I won't get fined. So just wanted to hear y'all's opinion about this and everything else.
Man, I'm gonna hop in here first because there's additional context to her saying, like, some of the reasons why she said that she didn't want to take it. One of the reasons was that it fuels some of her self-doubt and causes her to have some issues preparing for the next match and just messing with her psyche. And I can understand that, but I'm on the side of, there's a cost to be a boss. And if you want to be paid millions of dollars, if you want to compete at the highest level, then the trade-off is that people get to ask you questions about your performance, how you prepare. I do agree that sometimes the media might ask like stupid questions or questions trying to antagonize people. But if you actually listen to most sports interviews, which most people don't, right? Just like actually consistently listen, more than half of the time, there are mundane, typical questions like, what were you thinking when this went down? How did you prepare? And those are important questions for athletes who are trying to train and understand and build. You know what I mean? Like, think about all of the classic moments that came from those interviews with athletes, Allen Iverson, with Kobe, like all of the things that were said, right? And for an athlete to be like, no, I'm not going to do any at all. I'll take whatever, fine, because y'all are messing with my ability to prepare and sowing in self-doubt. Then it makes me question, well, if you can't handle getting some questions from the media, how much do you deserve to be at this platform? Because that's a part of the cost. Like that's the fee to get in. If you don't want to answer media, then you probably shouldn't be playing on a national platform where people want to ask and hear about you. And for someone like her, who has such an important voice, not just about tennis, but overall for like culturally, her impact as, a Black, half Asian person, someone that can speak up for women in sports. People want to hear from her. It's not like she just any old body. Like, she's very intelligent. When she speaks, people listen. Like, she has a serious platform. So I'm kind of like, I understand the mental health piece, right? And so to me, it's just like, okay, pick and choose what you're going to answer. Pick and choose the times where you're like, you know what, I can't do it today. But to just completely be like, nah, I'm not going to do it, I feel like is a little jaded towards the people who are like, yo, I've been playing my whole life to have the opportunity to be on this stage and get asked questions about my performance, because that's the cost of being a world athlete.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump in real quick. I found it to be important because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's one of the things that popped up in my head. It was like, man, it's important there. But I hear what you're saying, Stanley, with the like, hey, this is the price to get in. This is the cost to get in. The thing about that, though, is it fair? You know, like, is it something that, and I know people are going to be like, life ain't fair. You know, I get that part. But as a regular human being, like, people are like, you got bullying to kids with social media, and that stuff carries with them. You know what I'm saying? So we look at kids and like, okay, boom, these kids right here are like consistently being bullied. In a sense of the athletes are like Naomi Osaka is like 23 years old. In a lot of people's eyes, she's an adult, but she's still looked upon as being a child, and say at the late part. Mentally a child, I guess you can say. Is that fair for a newer athlete that's getting this status and because of their talent? Because, I mean, talent, you can't deny talent. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's good and they're just beating everybody and not good at speaking with the media, like, that's something they're going to have to work on, or, you know, be able to pick and choose. Like, okay, I don't want to do this now. You think it's fair that they get fined or, you know, for doing that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, the other side of it is that there was a time for women's tennis where they couldn't get the press. Nobody wanted to hear from them because they're like, you're women athletes. We don't care about what you have to say, right? So that's technically not that long ago. You're talking about the 80s and even getting into the 90s where they begging like, please come interview us. Please put us on the platform. Let us vocalize. And now fast forward, it's 2021 and someone's like, I don't want to completely do it at all for this whole tournament. And it's like, okay, you know, that's why I feel like there should be a better compromise. Like the one extreme and the other extreme to me is stupid. Like you shouldn't not be able to, you know, like to just completely cut it off for like a whole tournament. To me is wrong, but it's also wrong to have them constantly asking you stupid questions they already know the answers to, questions intentionally meant to trigger you, right? Like that's wrong too, because mental health is important. So it's like, how do you find that middle ground, right? Like maybe you limit some of the conversations. Maybe you give them, be like, all right, during the tournament, you got 3 passes for when you don't want to get interviewed, and you use one of those passes, you don't get no fine. That's your mental health break, but just some kind of in between, because there's still an important aspect of sports, being able to hear from athletes after a win, after a loss, especially for the folks that are athletes in training that are looking at those opportunities to learn, because they know they can't reach those athletes. So that's the time where they could be like understanding, taking notes, like, oh, okay, that's how she was breaking this down. That's how she was thinking or whatever. So it's both sides of it is important. Mental health is important, but also giving athletes a platform to talk about, you know, their sport is important too.
I think we got, that's a good outlook to have when you say, you know, cost to be the boss, but also I think that, like you said, it does have to be a fair trade out there, but also I think something has to change because you got a lot of people don't want to talk. Oh, they just don't want to talk at that one point, you know, that specific point. They may just, you know, you come in, like I'm putting myself in the position of an athlete. They're coming right off of winning their match to sit in front of people, and you're probably tired, like exhausted physically and mentally, because most of the time, not just tennis, but in most sports, it's a mental chess game. So then you got to go and answer questions like, I don't think like $15,000 fine, and then also them saying that she may possibly face, I think they're saying here that she may possibly face expulsion if, might possibly face expulsion if she doesn't do the rest of the media. I don't think media should be something that you force a person to do. If it's such a big part of it, have them have a representative go up, answer some questions. Because some of the stuff they ask them be some BS to the point where they're giving away, like, you really asking me what type of strategy I'm going to take? Like, that's really none of your business because now I'm being vulnerable to whoever else. I think they really need to figure that out and probably kind of change that around. Maybe not have as many. Man, talk to them folks a day later. Give them some time instead of rushing up to them with, you know what I'm saying, reporter cameras and stuff. I always love what Marshawn Lynch did because he brought light to like, hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I think, you know what, if they really, that's something, I'll be honest, if you really want me to talk to the media after my game, I'm probably going to go come up there and be an asshole too. I hate to say it, but I probably will be. We've kind of seen with Kyrie where he's set up there and he's not really, to most people, you're going to be like, man, he's been an asshole. Why don't you just answer? But really, he's kind of like, man, the stuff you asked me is really some BS. Let's talk about what I want to talk about if I'm going to be here, you know? But like I watch a lot of UFC and boxing and them guys come off of like getting like brutally beating up people to answer media questions. And you're just kind of like, bruh, like, come on.
To say, just go take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, like
get patched up real quick.
At some point, I think, and then those are grown men, and then you're looking at this 23-year-old where it's like, look, I just can't deal with it at this point, you know. So I think at some point something has to change. Is media important? I think so, but I think they've made it more than what it should be, and something needs to change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that, like Steve said, I think it is important, and like Stanley said as well. Because I hear you, Stanley, because I do think it's an instrumental part of the experience of having somebody who's performing at a top level, not just in sports but in anything, to have some kind of commentary for those people to kind of talk about their success story and how they got there, how they managed being there. Because I do feel like, just relating it back to music, I feel like that's something that we miss from a lot of artists. Specifically somebody like, so we just had the Shop episode with Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. I could count on one hand how many interviews I've seen with Jay-Z, like throughout his career. And he's supposed to be like the pinnacle, like the top. And it's like, we can't even hear from the top how to get there. Or even if you think about his wife, Beyonce is the pinnacle, the top. And we don't have no interviews from Beyonce. We don't know what the fuck she even got on her mind if she don't make a song. And so on the one hand, I'm like, yes, I would like to hear from them people. But then I guess from their perspective, it's like, if they don't want to do it, then I can't make them do it. I can't make them folks come out here and talk to me if they don't want to talk to me. Eventually they might start to open up, I guess. But I don't know. I think that the whole finding people and trying to punish people for not doing it, I think that's some bullshit. And I think that the people who put that into place need to humble themselves because they feel like they're entitled to your voice. They feel like I don't necessarily agree when you said, Stanley, that that's like the cost to getting there. I think the cost to getting there is, like Tommy said, just being the best athlete in the world. And so if I'm this good, I mean, how you gonna not put me in the tournament? Like,
well, my argument to that though is that at any level, regardless of it's sports, music, business, the higher up you go, the more you have to be open to critiques and people evaluating what you do. If you want to be the CEO of a company, that means people are going to ask you questions and you got to represent the company, that all your actions and your moves are going to be judged and critiqued. So my thing is, if you want to be at the top of anything, then a part of accepting that responsibility and that money is taken on, because it can't all be glory. You know what I mean? Like if it just because you're the best athlete doesn't mean that you don't have to pay additional costs to participate. And one of those costs to participate is people want to hear from you. People are going to have questions. People have expectations related to media responsibilities. Now, does some of those responsibilities need to change? Absolutely. But, it's a part of being at the top of anything, is that people are going to want to hear from you. People are going to critique you a lot closer because you are the best.
Yes, I agree with that. But whether or not those people get access is still up to you. Like, they're going to want to do all of those things. Like, people going to naturally be like, oh, this person got a lot of spotlight on. I want to see what's going on. But whether or not they actually get that access, it's still up to you as the person. Like, you can still be like, fuck you niggas, I'm closing the door. Like, you don't have to fucking open the door for them. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody should have that much say in whether or not your door is open or closed. Like, you can close the door. It may not be supposed to be all glory, like you said, but it's a lot of people that just don't like to talk to people. And so they're not going to talk to you. Like Marshawn Lynch. Like, he just all right, bro. No, you're not getting this access. But then he go off and do like all these other little commercials and shit. Like, it's a different access, but it's just not the access that he wanted to do. So give those people, like you said, give them an alternative. Maybe like they have like the passes or something like that. Like, that could help a lot. But I just don't think they get to decide, you got to do it this way. This is the way that we're going to get our access to you.
Well, the other problem is the media is essentially old white men. So that's where a lot of that is coming from. So that's why I'm on the other side of it too, is just like they like, this is what you have to do. And if you don't do it, we're going to fine you. Yeah. And we pay your salary. And it's just like, and that sounds for that reason, I'm
too like slavery to me, for me to be like, that's okay. So I'm like, fuck these niggas and fuck these hoes. But,
man, so
niggas don't have the deal.
I love it, man. Naomi's response to the fine was, I hope you guys like donate the money to something with mental health. So that would be awesome, you know.
It would be.
I understand both sides.
They can do that shit.
They not. That's gonna go to their pocket.
Yeah, right.
This gonna go to the French Open Fund. But I think it's cool. Like the discussion having about that. I understand both sides, because on one side is to honestly, like you were saying, Stanley, a few years ago, nobody would be watching the sport. So it's really just to, that access and everything is important for the sport. But on the other hand, you got the athletes who are like top-notch human beings. Like the top of a human being are these world-class athletes. And, just how we need mental days, they do as well. Just looking at it from a scrutinizing point of social media and having the access to a person all at 24 hours a day, however much access they allow people to have, but people have access to these folks through social media, through the media access with the media interviews and everything like that. I wanted to get y'all opinion about where the confusion comes from. Access to having power over. This is what I was talking about. Yesterday, the Nets beat my Celtics, and I was really upset about that. But hey, it is what it is.
What'd you expect?
Hey, we're not going to talk about it. They have this created team.
Right. So I'm just like, what'd you expect?
But anyway, video showed a fan throwing water bottles at Kyrie Irving after the game yesterday. Now, the thing about it is, of course, everybody knows, where if you don't know, Kyrie was a Boston Celtic, I want to say last year or the year before last. And he left, and it was kind of like a rocky breakup, right?
Yeah.
He came back. He said something about, hey, I hope we all can be cordial. I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to get through everything. But everybody knows Boston was like the last people to integrate with their sports. And it's a lot of racism built up in Boston. Surprisingly, you'd think it wouldn't be in the North, but hey, it is. But my question to you guys, with this situation happening, because a normal human being would not think like, hey, I don't like what this dude just did, or I don't like that we lost, or, if we're playing a game of spades, Uno, I don't like that he did this, and I'm going to throw something at him. A normal human being wouldn't do that. But because this man is an athlete, why do you think, as consumers, people think that they have the power and the right to do that, throw water at somebody? Because this happened again Like a few at a
it's
different
happening
game.
every day.
Yeah, they're just throwing water. Somebody threw something at Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, some popcorn.
Some popcorn. Like it. And I understand frustration. Somebody spit on Trey Young.
Yeah.
Spit on Trey Young. They was abusing John Morant's people in the stands at Utah, man. It's getting worse and worse, man. Like, almost every day.
Like, why is the access to these athletes and these entertainers, because they're entertaining us. We love to see competition and stuff like that. Where are we getting this confused with power?
I don't think it's power at all. Yeah, that's a big part of, I think what we're seeing as more fans begin to come back, I think we're seeing a psychological issue going on. So I think that's one thing. And then the other thing I think we're seeing, I mean, let's be honest, majority of the league is black, right? Mm-hmm. I think from what I've seen, a lot of people who were either banned or being arrested were people of were white folks. I think given what we just came off of, you know what I'm saying, the whole year of just an incredible divide, I think we're seeing a lot of that racial stuff coming straight to light. Yeah, you can have passion for your team, but you know, spitting on somebody, that's the ultimate disrespect. Throwing something at somebody, throwing at some of the athletes. I think that's the psychological part. People coming back and they're just kind of like, you're not at home. Yeah, you just don't know how to act until somebody run up on you, slap the dog meat about you. But I think we're really seeing a lot of anger and frustration being played out. And I mean, what other way when your team is getting bashed in by Kevin Durant or bashed in by Trey Young and you're pissed off. And also, you know, you got people who buy tickets and just think they can do what they want to do. And the honest truth is nah. Shout outs to the organizations who have took action quickly and, you know, they've pretty much banned these folks for life. And it wasn't like, you know, it's not a lot of people, but you've seen a few people, you know, you've seen a few incidents, and it's not like a lot of incidents, but you've seen a few incidents that, you know, you can tell there are some folks who they're just not ready to come back outside. And then you got some folks who
need to still be on punishment.
Yeah, they need to
go back in the house,
and that's what they're gonna have to do. But I think also, you know, racial tension and all the stuff that we've built up in America, you got some folks who really think they can do whatever they want to do. Yeah. And it's not, and they ain't just all racial. Some of them do it to each other, but I think you got some people out here that really think they can do what they want to do. We saw it at the Capitol, and you can kind of see right now that a few people got arrested, but not as many as you would thought. Yeah. Trump getting away with whatever now, and you got some people out there that really think they can do what they want to do. And then when you get to, you know, when you get to this and these fans are coming back in the league, fans come back in the stadiums, motions, people thinking they can do what they want to do, your team getting whooped, and you really think it's okay to do that. I think it's definitely a psychological issue. And yeah, I don't think it's really, I think people think they got power, but they don't. Yeah. I think it's the ultimate magic trick on a lot of people. And we're seeing them. So
yeah. That's crazy though, man. Go ahead, Stan.
I was just gonna say, man, it's always been there. I'll never forget, man. At UT, went to a game. We was playing LSU football game, and we in the end zone, maybe 4 or 5 rows up, real close, right? And the O-line and the D-line at LSU, these are the biggest men I've ever seen in my life. We in the stands on the fourth or fifth row. And when they stood up, they was looking me in the eyes. To think about this, we behind the end zone, right? 4 or 5 rows back, and these dudes eye to eye with me standing up. That's how big these dudes is. And these white boys was in the very first row, talking mad cash, yelling, cursing at them, doing all types of stuff. And the dudes, the linemen, they're just laughing about it, right? Because they know that at any given point, if they decided to, they just have to put 1 foot over, because that's how big they put 1 foot over the end zone fence, and it's a wrap for them boys. We was just like, how do they have so much audacity to talk cash to men that can literally rip them apart? Yeah, with no hesitation. I was like, I would never in my life say anything to those men besides, yes, sir. What, y'all trying to play UT? You need some water? Like, these dudes is huge, right? It's always been there, and you right, Stephen. Like, it's to me, it's like a perfect storm of there always are going to be fans that go beyond the line of being passionate for a team. Those people that like, I'm a season ticket holder, therefore I'm paying their salaries, therefore I could do whatever I want, right? You got all the racial tension. Then you got people are just now starting to get back out in the house. They've been cooped up, pent up, doing whatever they want to do in the safety of their homes, doing whatever they want to do outside the safety of their homes. You got all of that mixing together with you seeing all of these incidents back to back at all of these different places. And you add the viral aspect of it too. Now this whole thing of getting attention online and being viral is at an all-time high. This is like, you got people that's like, I'll get kicked out of this arena if it means that I get to put that video on TikTok and I'm going to get me an extra 1 million views. I mean, you saw old boy at the Super Bowl. He capitalized big time, put a bet on it. Oh man, he made a lot of. I don't want to misquote it.
Life changing amount.
He a life changing amount because he bet on someone streaking at the Super Bowl, and so you combine all of that stuff together. People want to go viral. People have been cooped up and they crazy. Fans that just are a little crossing that line of being a fan versus being like a crazy person. And then the racial tensions, all of that is coming together and you seeing it, man. And it's only the start. I just feel like as things start to open up more and people start being able to, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse for athletes. I think it's going to be bad for musicians, especially at small venues. I think it's going to be bad. Like anytime you get a bunch of people together and they ain't been out nowhere, and it is bound to act a fool.
Yeah. One more thing I want to add to it real quick. I think the other thing is, I think it's that age-old thing of like, oh, he won't do nothing to me. He ain't gonna jeopardize his contract. He ain't gonna like what they really gonna do to me. Like just the whole example of the UT situation. They're thinking, oh, it's just a college game. Folks scream at them all the time. They hit our team. They ain't going to do nothing. And then you end up with the Malice at the Palace back in the day.
Right.
When they went off in the crowd. And people got their ass whooped.
Yeah.
I don't want things to come to that. So I'm hoping that is like, I hope it can, if it does happen, I hope it continues to be like, I don't want it to happen, but I hope it doesn't grow to like more numbers of people. It's like one person here, one person there. I don't want it to happen anymore. I hope the examples of getting completely banned from stuff will wake some folks up, but I don't want it to grow to where like now you got 10 people who think they are cool too. We can do this, because then it's gonna be some big problems.
It's gonna be some smoke in the city.
Pain is the only way, man. I feel like they should just one of those times be like, you know what, Russ, you got it. Go on up there. We ain't about to. Because look, you could hurt people's pockets. You could tell people they ban. But when you watch somebody get their ass whooped, that's when you start to be like, you know what, I probably shouldn't do that. Like, because it's just like the only reason why they feel strong enough to do that is because the worst that can happen is I get kicked out and I get banned. But if the worst that could happen is that a world-class athlete gets to come up and beat the shit out of you, you're going to be like, oh, man, you know what? I ain't mean it. The popcorn just slipped out my hand and you just so happen to be walking through the tunnel, Russ. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Now that one fan went to jail though.
They arrested
they arrested him.
Yeah. That through that water. Greg, did you want to say anything about it?
No, not really, man. Y'all covered it. They just, I know I saw something from Charles Barkley saying that one of the ways to circumvent these circumstances would be to just allow them to whoop somebody's ass. He said like people should be given the opportunity to at least whoop one fan's ass. Like that would definitely clear some of this shit up. And I mean, I kind of agree. If you sitting there heckling and saying all kind of crazy shit and throwing stuff, especially when you're throwing stuff at people, like, talk all the shit you want, but like throwing stuff to like physically assault somebody, that's taking it to another level. You're doing too much. Don't do that. Don't spit on people, because we seen what happened to Pumpkin on what's the name on Flavor Flav. Yeah, like you get your ass whipped. That's the consequences. If you spit on a nigga, that's what I get to do. I get to run up and talk shit to your ass while I'm whooping your ass. So
absolutely, maybe
that's what needs to happen. Like especially for people who are doing stuff like spitting on people. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like why are you hawking up a loogie?
Right. Like, is it that bad? You know, like, are you that mad?
I don't even know how you fix your mouth to do so. Like, I'm going to spit on this person.
I have never been that mad to where I wanted to spit on a person.
Nah. I've made a mistake and spit on, like I was spitting and some of the spit has flew on somebody, but it was by mistake.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like I know that's disgusting. My bad, bro. Let me get that off for you.
Even before a fight, like I'm not thinking to spit on you. I'm like, I'm gonna spit on the ground.
Somebody spit on Mike Tyson, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
It was crazy. It was during wrestling, or like a wrestling match or something like this. Somebody spit on him. He was like, and I think he hit him for real. Anyway. Man, it's just wild what people like do. And I'm with you, Greg. It's one thing that heckling, you know, I think that's fun. Like how, you know, LeBron James did it the other day. Trae Young did it to the Knicks. Jordan was known for doing stuff. Reggie Miller was known for doing stuff like this. To Spike Lee, you know, throwing stuff at Spike Lee. You know, that's fun. We like to see stuff like that, but it's harmless. But once you start throwing stuff and heckling and harassing people and you know, you start getting physical with things, then it turns a page, you know. So
heckling's cool until you say the wrong thing.
Right. So you call somebody a nigga and then you see 5 fists coming to your face like, whoa, which one of you niggas hit me?
I don't mind. I don't mind heckling.
It's like for me, it's welcoming. You know what I'm saying? Like you get some. Do what you gotta do to do your part to help your team win. Like people be shooting free throws and they be doing this thing. I love it. You know what I'm saying? But once you cross that line of throwing, spitting, you know, and all that stuff, like saying the stuff you wouldn't normally say to a person in the street.
Yeah, they had called like John Moran Mama a black bitch or some shit.
They
like
was
you wouldn't do stuff like that normally. You know,
you ain't gonna do that on the street, then don't do it.
Right.
Do it,
Well, the way things going, they doing it on the streets now too. They've been empowered from these last 4 years to let they fool race themselves out. So that's another story.
Well, that's completely different.
Would you do it to an athlete on the street?
No.
That's what I mean. If you ain't gonna do it to an athlete on the street, then don't do it. Stand,
man. But they just got that invisible wall.
I think
right
it's a
there,
little
man.
Visible wall there. Yeah, to somebody.
It's privilege. That's what that is. Privilege. That is a definition
exactly
of
what
privilege.
It is, Stan. That's exactly
definition
what it is.
of privilege.
Since we talk about privilege, man, let's talk about Future. Future, like I just listened to this song, Maybach, off of 42 Doug album. And Future says 3 times in this song, Steve, I didn't want her, or something like that. But he's talking about Steve Harvey's daughter, Lori Harvey. Future is known to have great music. He's known to have great music and produce great music, good music, and a lot of people like him. But also he has a lot of children and a lot of baby mamas, and in particular, he has his last two girlfriends have been of status. You know, he went with Ciara, and then also Ciara has now moved on and married Russell Wilson, and he dated Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's daughter, and now she has moved on to Michael B. Jordan. And in this song, man, I just feel like he needs to let it go, because he made a song about Ciara as well, man. I don't remember the song, but he's like, at this point, he's known for doing that. Like, we break up, it's, you know, I'm a rap about her. You know what I'm saying? So the sad part, I think, for me personally, about this song is bumping.
It definitely.
I think that's the sad part about it, man. Man, it's hard, but honestly, man, I could go without him talking about his ex. It's like, because in a normal situation, you think about your ex and some of the things that you used to do, because it's life, is a part of your memories and stuff like that. But then you make a song. I feel like he kind of crossed the line talking about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey didn't have anything to do with their relationship.
Nothing.
He didn't, like Steve Harvey. You know, he recently said he didn't, you know, too much care for her other boyfriends, but he likes Michael B. Jordan.
I think he did kind of say something that went towards Future.
Did he?
Yeah. So I think that's more of a response, so to speak. But, you know, I mean,
still though,
Steve ain't no. Yeah, I could do without the references, because you kind of, now you sound like a man scorn.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then also, you know, Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey, and then Michael B. Jordan. I mean, shoot, the best thing, they doing the actual best thing, which is just ignore it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, ain't going about your business. I just, his track record with women of status is kind of looking interesting, because they all going to men who are, I don't know them, of course, personally, but seem to be better for the women he done been with. But yeah, I mean, man, I like Future, but you need a homeboy to sit you down and be like, hey, bro, you sound like a woman talking about your ex. Like, just kind of don't worry about it, man.
do y'all think that he's doing it because he legit, that's just what he wants to do, or if he's continuing to do stuff like that because he knows it keeps his name relevant, it brings up conversation, and that people are just like, oh, that's what they expect. Like, there's a certain group of people that actually like that aspect of Future. So part of me feels like maybe he don't even, if it was like a normal situation, he probably wouldn't, but he's like, all right, here's another opportunity for me to do it again, get a little extra shine my way, get a little extra attention, make me relevant.
Yeah, I think it's just shock value.
Yeah.
I think it's just shock value. I mean, you can have almost any woman probably in the world, but I think it's just shock value. Now, I think it's shock value, but also that age-old line of, there's always some truth in a joke. I think it's some truth there to a certain extent, but I also think it's like, it's still, you know, I'm an entertainer too. So I can get some shock value and maybe get this off my chest. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. The man in the Eminem school of name drop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is, man. He definitely is for entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Because this like, we obviously see that her and Michael B. Jordan are pretty good where they got, like, look at the Ciara situation. Oh, see, like, if anybody came up, Russell Wilson is a good man.
The jokes that fly after that one,
dog,
sting. They got a sting.
You know they do.
Yeah, man.
But Nah, I think it's all for us. Like for me, it's like, damn, listening to it, you're like, all right, come on, bro. But the song is bumping, so you're gonna listen to it, you know. But then it's like, damn, Future, I don't know if you hurt or you just, you know, whatever it is, man. I hope you get help for it, man, you know?
Yeah. You get help for it.
Like, whatever it is. Hey,
he
man,
he's at this point too old for that.
Right, exactly.
That's the other part.
Right.
Exactly.
He's too old.
You know? And that's my thing about Future, because it's like he do it for shock value, but I don't feel like Future, I wouldn't say Future is a lyrical rapper at all. I wouldn't put him in the world's Guinness Book of most lyrical rappers, you know. So I think he puts it there so he could be relevant in whatever time period it is and stuff like that. So I got two more things. Well, actually three more. I'm just gonna mention these. We don't really have to discuss them. Just kind of want to give a congratulations and a to look out for. First, I want to congratulate Juvenile. Like, he did an interview with Vlad TV, and what I'm congratulating him on is something that you got to go back into the time of when this happened. Juvenile secured $2,000 per week as a deal with Cash Money. That equals out to $104,000 a year. And basically, I'm saying congratulations to that, because how many people do you know that can, by their talent and their word of they're basically they gift the gab to say, hey, I need you to pay me $2,000 a week for me to just basically quit my job and start rapping for you.
That was the deal he started with?
Yeah. So I don't know, you know, I mean, like, of course, like now, you know, a lot of people will be like, man, that was little. But I mean, for somebody that don't have to come up and be like, hey, I want $2,000 a week. That's some bold stuff to ask for.
For him to do it now, or that's like
no, back then. This was like in '94 or whenever he signed with Cash Money.
No, that was a smart move, man. That was a very smart move, especially back then, because nigga, $104,000 back then was probably ridiculous.
Yeah. So I just want to.
Plus, on top of all the other stuff.
Yeah. Right.
That's just the salary, right? That's not including all the other money that you're gonna be able to bring in.
But I think what was cool was he was. I didn't watch the interview. I'm just going off a article that I'm reading from Complex. He said in the interview as well that after he signed, they like got rid of all the artists that they had except BG and Lil Wayne. So we all know that was the start of what we know now to be the Cash Money records for the 99 to the 2000. So congratulations to him on that, man. That was amazing for that to happen back then. Also, big congratulations to Mary J. Blige she got, I guess it's a Walk of Fame. I've never been to Harlem. It's a Walk of Fame at the Apollo. And she got inducted, I guess you can say. I don't know what they call it. Would it be an induction?
Yeah, it would be an induction.
Yeah. So she was inducted to the Walk of Fame. That's huge for her. I think she performed at the Apollo for the first time in '92. And everything. She got a documentary actually coming out later this summer too. Which
I want to see that shit.
I want to see it, but I was like, damn, she old enough to have a documentary?
Yeah.
She
Mary
50,
J.
dog. She 50. She doesn't look 50.
Hey, you want to look? I was about to say, like, if we would have look, hey, Mary J. been aging like fine wine, boy.
Her and Angela Bassett, bro. I'm here to tell you, man. But shout out to her as well, man, and congratulations to her on that. She has had a wonderful career, has made great music, and I laughed when you said that earlier, Greg. You was listening to it. I was like, man, that man must see my article.
No, I ain't see the article, bro. No, I was telling Allison, I was like, bro, growing up, this was all my mama listened to, bro.
Yeah.
Was Mary J. Blige. Like, it was all the time, bro.
Yeah.
Just every time she got in the car. She one time, because Mary J. Blige got a song called Take Me As I Am.
Yeah.
And my mama, for real, one time burned the CD and just made that song over and over and over repeat on the damn CD. Bro. Like, shout out to my mama for doing that shit. Because it was just like 5 tracks. She wasted one of my damn CDs.
Oh,
so
damn.
she could put the same track 5 times on there, so it'll just repeat. When all you had to do was just put it once, it was gonna repeat anyways. But she put it on there 5 times, bro. But Mary J. Blige is definitely like one of my favorite people to listen to, just for that reason.
Yeah. So shout out to her. Congratulations to her and everything. Last thing I got, man. Today, May 31st, marks the 100th year. Would I say anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
Of the Tulsa race massacre.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part about this, I was talking to somebody about it the other day. I think it was my uncle. I didn't learn about this in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn about this in college. I learned about this when I graduated, like out of college, and I think I like went past it on a Facebook post.
Yeah.
And had never heard about this. And this happened 100 years ago in Oklahoma and Black Wall Street, and a lot of people started to talk about it and stuff like that. So there's so many documentaries out. I know CNN has one that's coming on tonight. Last night, the History Channel had one. It was another one on MSNBC last night. Somebody was telling me, PBS is having one, and then in June, there's another one coming out. So plenty places for you to find some information about what happened back in 1921 in Tulsa. And hopefully this can start a new thing, and hopefully we can grow from it and get some justice for what happened back then. I'm not going to get into the story because I want to I want to see the documentary and stuff like that before I really talk about it, but I know a little bit about it. Watchmen. I don't know if you guys have watched Watchmen, but the first episode of Watchmen talked about it and really brought light to what's going on. So
Watchmen, you can also see a reference to it in Lovecraft.
Yep.
It's been in a lot of shows recently. And I think that a lot of the attention that story is getting now is because of its betrayal of it in movies and shows here recently. And the saddest thing about it is it's not even like the worst or the only one.
Right.
Like, as bad as that was, it's so many instances where they did stuff like that or worse. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Now, just to put this in perspective, and also, Tom, I actually learned about it in college, and I think African American studies, but I think some older folks told me when I was around in high school, but I think in African American studies we kind of discussed it some. But let's put this in perspective. Like it's been 100 years since that happened, pretty much, right? Mm-hmm. But only like 40 years ago, in the 1960s, there was still some slaves in the Deep South. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. And
then
you
put an article in the Slack about that?
Yeah.
I think it was G.
It was G. Yeah.
This week, yeah. It was
one of those. Let's discuss.
Yeah. That shit is crazy as hell, bro.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you haven't seen it, people who are listening, check out the episode of Watchmen and the episode of Lovecraft Country, because those are some great artistic depictions of what it could have looked like. Just based on the information that we have. And then also just like Tulsa it just seemed like it's a forgotten place. It's in fucking Oklahoma. Don't nobody who we know coming from the Southeast. I don't have any direct ties or connections to that place. Most of my people come from Mississippi, South Carolina, that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. But it's just a whole nother world. Just starting to try to explore that. So I'm definitely going to be looking out for those documentaries because I've never seen a documentary on Tulsa race riots.
It's supposed to be a movie too that they either developing or something. So it's a especially this year, it's a lot of stuff being talked about that. And like Stanley said, that's not the only place. I know it was a place in Richmond.
Even in the 80s when they bombed those places in Philly.
Yep.
That block.
Yep.
Yeah. There's so many. Man, I saw a map of all the black massacres, and it's really infuriating, man. It's really, and especially look at the dates, like how far back and how recent.
Right. That's the crazy part. It's like we're not far from it, you know. But that's it, man. That's all I got for the news today, man. Hopefully I ain't bore you too much, but you know.
Nah, I think it was a good discussion all the way around. Things they need to be talked about.
Yeah.
Let me go grab this damn cord so my computer don't die.
Go do what you got to do, bro.
Allison said she gonna get it for me.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it, Allison.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it's finna die. I'm like, damn.
Man, at least it's not like mine, man. Mine are cut off.
Yeah.
5 minutes after I take it off the charger. But man, let's get into it, man. Let's go on and get into this episode, man. I've been waiting to hear this part anyway from Stanley. Man, so last week we had a discussion about, you know, Crip being a part of the conversation with J. Cole and Kendrick. This week, we are talking about, as Steve said at the beginning, the Mount Rushmore of the 2010s. Steve, you said you saw it from The Source.
Yeah, I saw it was posted by The Source magazine is where I originally saw it, but I'm sure it grew legs, and I don't know exactly where it began at, but I first saw it with The Source magazine, where they were pretty much talking about who you would add your fourth person to the Mount Rushmore of hip hop for the 2010s. So that's why I originally saw it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw mine on I originally saw it on Facebook, but then when I looked it up, I see that it's a tweet from Rap Caviar about who takes the fourth spot. So I'm gonna just start it off with my top four. And like I told you guys before, and I'm not changing it.
Hold on. Before we do that, let's start off with who they already put up there.
Okay.
Which originally the Image gave you J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick Lamar. And this is just for the 2010s. We're not talking 2020s. We're not talking about the 2000s. We're not talking about the 99s. We're not talking about none of that. We're just talking about the 2010s. But what they currently have up there, and of course, the fourth person has a question mark in front of it. And really, it's something that they put out there for the people to kind of see who would they put in as their fourth. So yeah, I guess Rap Caviar probably did put it up first. But if are y'all okay with those first three? What we have thus far, are y'all okay with that before we put in our fourth and then ultimately make our own? So let's go. Let's do a round robin, man. Whoever want to pick it up first. Are you okay with Drake, Kendrick, and Cole for the 2010s?
Yeah.
I'll say this one piece before giving my opinion on it. Debates like this are always interesting when they don't give you enough context.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't give a lot of context for Mount Rush. They said Mount Rushmore of hip hop 2010s, and that's not enough context because if you think about the actual Mount Rushmore and the presidents that are on there, the presidents that are on there because during their presidency they did something or were a part of something that changed the fabric of America. And America is what it is today because of decisions and actions they made as presidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you take that context and say, okay, now apply it to hip hop 2010s, then you can form your opinion, right? But they was just like, all right, Mount Rushmore. So you got some people that's going to talk about our album sales. So you're going to have some people that's going to think about like lyrically, like who is like the best MC. Then you're going to have other people, which I think is a better argument about impact, who was more important to hip hop during the 2010s. Mm-hmm. But without that context, it's, people are going to be arguing and not arguing about the same point. point because somebody gonna be arguing about theirs because they're thinking about impact, and the other person gonna be arguing about theirs because they're thinking about lyrics.
Mm-hmm. And then you got folks who just like who they like.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Absolutely. So I definitely agree with that, and it definitely didn't. So for me, I kind of look at it how you look at it, Stanley. It's kind of like, overall, not just one piece of the pie. So go ahead, man. Let's go. We're gonna start with you, Stanley.
I'm okay with the 3. I'm okay with the sense that you people want to dismiss Drake for a lot of different reasons. And what you can't deny about Drake is his impact and influence on the culture of hip hop. He, he got a ghostwriter, so you can make your comments about how he holds up against Kendrick and J. Cole, but every year he's relevant. Every year he's on multiple hit songs. He has a range of, he can work with any type of artist. Anytime you put him on something, is usually he has the best ear for what's going to be hot out of any artist I could think of. Like Drake knows what's going to pop and what's not going to pop. And he finds it before anybody else does. Mm-hmm. Turn Up on a Tuesday. You remember that song, Turn Up on the Tuesday? Mm-hmm. Drake, imagine, Drake heard that and was like, yo, this is going to be hot. Let me hop on this wave. And that song blew up. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, yo, how did he even find out about who was Mahoney or whatever his name was? Yeah. And so, you think of Conan, yes, whatever. Yeah. So, you think about that. This is it's hard to dismiss Drake because he's huge. He's been important. He's always stayed relevant. J. Cole and Kendrick, I would say they're no-brainers. No-brainers for their contributions. They're overall just great artists. So I don't have any issues there because I really don't think that they are, out of the 2010s, too many people that were bigger or more relevant in hip hop than those 3. So I have no issues.
Yeah.
G, you got any issues with the 3?
No, man. For basically the same reasons that Stanley said. I think that they just, all 3 of those, they've been consistently mentioned as the top 3 from the 2010s, even when the 2010s were first starting. Mm-hmm. When they came out the gate, that's what people were saying. They were like, oh, it's Drake, Kendrick, Cole, Drake, Kendrick, Cole. They just kept saying it for 10 years. People never stopped. Nobody else came in and moved one of them out of the slot to where people were discussing some third arbitrary member of this rap holy trinity that people created. So, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Drake has continued to be relevant the whole time, even though we've had a discussion on whether or not it's on the decline or not. I think that, all 3 of those people have consistently been there, at least up until 2017 or 18, because the last couple of years kind of are lost in the sauce thanks to the pandemic and other things. But from 2010 to 2018, those 3 got it.
Yeah. Tommy T.
Yeah, man.
Issues with the 3?
No. I don't have an issue with it or anything like that. I just look at it from a different context, as Stanley was saying earlier, and as you were saying too, Steve. It's I don't think everybody has, we was looking at the sales and stuff from earlier, right? And one may have better sales than the other one, but as a whole, as a group, who are these guys? And I think as a group, we know that these are the guys that we looked at to represent hip hop during that time period. And so I don't have a issue with those 3 up there.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, that's good then. For me, if I'm looking at an overall artist as a total package, and I look at what the sound has been based off of, in the 2010s, then I don't have an issue with the 3. I mean, Drake, you get your Drake, and then you seen kind of what happened with R&B. All the R&B artists started rapping. You got your Kendrick, and of course, Kendrick is carrying the entire coast on his back by himself.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, TDE as a whole is an incredible like arsenal of assassin lyricists that I'm scared of anyone going against. And then you have Cole, which is like this nomad type of guy who is just out there slaying whoever is in his way. And then you kind of from there, you kind of see other artists that then begin to take after them. That's when you have your Drakes, your Kendricks, and your Coles, which I think someone has actually said that. The only issue I have is with the person that I consider is going to be my fourth. So before I get into who's going to be my fourth, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's answer the question. Who is your fourth person? Who is your fourth person? Who do you round this out with? Who do you complete the Mount Rushmore with? We'll start with G, and then we'll hit Tommy, and then we'll hit Stanley at the last, and then I'll bring up the rear where I ended.
Shit, I didn't plan on going first.
Oh, my bad.
Because I don't really know, bro. I really don't know. I don't think. I just don't know. I have no idea. The only person I can think of, and that's based on like reactions that I've seen from other people online, is like a Nicki Minaj. Like I think that's where the most obvious choice for me would be. Other people I would like to say, I just don't think when I stack them up against her, I can say definitively, yes, this person has a better impact than she does. And even when I consider like this wave of women rappers who came in the last like 3 years or so, who have gained a lot of notoriety in those last 3 or 4 years, I credit that to her. I credit her for kind of laying the path for these people to come off and branch off into different sections and kind of take over the game at this point. Because you got a lot of people out there that's doing a lot of big things. So I can't really take that away from her. I don't think when we considering like overall, and we're talking about influence over the game and over hip hop, I can say somebody else has done more than she has.
Absolutely. Tommy.
Man, I'm mad that Greg went first, man, because now I'm like, dang. But I got something.
You go with
that.
Who you got?
No, I got something for that. I'm not changing mine. I think Big Crit should go up there. And I'm gonna tell you why. Big Crit, man, just as how he's doing as an artist right now. I always liked our conversation last week. I always put them all together because of talent. I look at their talent. I think they're like as a team, I think they will be unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the biggest person or, this person has sold this much or this person has done this much. Crit has actually opened the door for other people that, maybe I make beats and I can rap, but I ain't with a big label. You know what I'm saying? I can come out with a great album, not with a big label, or the label doesn't really want to push me, but I'm still as talented as the leaders of hip hop during the 2010s. And I always looked at him as being one of those leaders of the 2010s. The Nicki Minaj argument is great. Nicki should be up there, because she did amazing things, and to kind of like, you can't diminish what she's done because she did lead the charge. Because between her and who was it, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown, you only had Charlie B. Moore, I think was a female rapper, but none was as impactful as Nicki when she came in for hip hop or whatnot. So what I think I would do to actually not diminish her as an artist and everything, I would probably give her a monument. Like the Lincoln Memorial, you have the Nicki Memorial. Like yes, I created her own spot because she deserves it. Because if it wasn't for Nicki, we wouldn't have Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. Who else we got? This new I don't know how you say her name.
Corey or Corley.
Yeah. We wouldn't have those artists, and we wouldn't be looking at these women like the way I hate that we sexualize them so much, but we still wouldn't look at them as talented as they are, because we've always said Nicki on a feature, she's gonna kill you, you know. And her songs are nice too, except when she started getting too deep into that her
R&B stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, you lost me. But but that's how I feel. That's what my fourth would be, is Crit. And then I will also build Nicki her own memorial. So
all right, Nicki with the memorial.
Yeah.
Crit, to round out your list. Stanley.
I like the idea of giving Nicki her own memorial. I think she should be separate from the Rushmore. I think it's a fair argument to put her up there, but my only knock for having her on the Rushmore is that her success is a formula that was already started with Lil' Kim. I don't really think she did some things differently. She was unique, and she's definitely a great artist and important to the 2010s. But it's not like she came in with something we had never seen before and changed the game. She came in with a proven formula, and she backed it up with some hot bars and some really good track selection and some really well-written bars from other people. And so that's where I'm just like, I want to, and I wouldn't necessarily like debate somebody hard for not putting her up there. But I feel like my selection represents her to a certain degree, and you got Drake that kind of represents her. So then I think that it would be better, more appropriate, like Tommy said, to have her own monument, because she deserves individual not signs, but an individual monument for her contributions that I don't think should be compared to the others. I think it's just like a completely different conversation of like how that opened up the doors for other artists like the Cardi B's and the Meg Thee Stallions. And, you know, so I will put her separate. For me, hands down, is Kanye West is my fourth selection. And I know a lot of people want to associate Kanye West with the 2000s. But when I think about Mount Rushmore and I think about impact and change and influence on the culture, the 2010s Kanye was very important to hip hop. This is Yeezus. This is Life of Pablo. This is My Dark Twisted Fantasy. This is Watch the Throne. This is Travis Scott. You get Travis Scott through Kanye. You get Big Sean through Kanye. 2 Chainz didn't blow up until Kanye, right?
We did get Kanye. Slavery is a Choice, Kanye too.
We did. And this is true. And this is the hard part about Kanye, because it's like.
But I think that adds to his argument, though. But go ahead.
It does, because it's just like he's always stayed relevant musically, even though he does this crazy stuff. And yes, 2010s also represents crazy Kanye. But from a music standpoint, he has stayed relevant. He has come out with really good albums. Some would argue one of his best albums. People love Yeezus. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I appreciate the artistry of Yeezus. Life of Pablo was a dope album. Life of Pablo was a really good album. I don't know why people don't put that up high on Kanye's list of albums, but Life of Pablo was banging. I like Ye. Ye was cool with me. Not a lot of people like the Ye album, but I thought it was cool. And then the Jesus is King album was very good. But when I think about like the albums that he came out with, the artists who he helped put on a bigger platform and how big those artists are now, and then the ability to steal. When Kanye wants to spit and get on the track and demolish it, he still has the ability to. Whether he does it or not, is up to him. But I have to put Kanye. And I just think it comes to the overall impact. Like I would want to put Crit there, my personal preference, if I'm like artists that I really like. But I try to take my subjectiveness about Crit out of the equation when I think about putting that Mount Rushmore, and I think about overall, because like Crit would be there for me personally if it was my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I had to go Kanye, man. You gonna put somebody? I gotta go Kanye.
You gonna put Kanye?
That's a very, very good point, bro. Like everything that I said when I was like, if I put somebody up next to Nicki, I don't know if I could say that it compares. I think that's a very good point. I think that definitely Kanye is right there because he birthed a lot of different acts. Even honestly, if you want to go back before 2010, I think he kind of cleared the way for somebody like a Drake to come in.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like he kind of is responsible for almost all of the sound of the 2010s. And even with being a person who is, like going back to Tommy's point with Big Crit being a producer and an artist, you got Kanye West is somebody who has been very successful doing that. So I see that. I see that.
So I love it. I love it. I love it all. Tommy, man, I love to put Crick on there. But if we're looking at what we're looking at, then, you know, Crick probably most likely wouldn't make that route, Mount Rushmore. And I love everything else y'all said. For me, I'm going to tell y'all right now, as far as the first question, I lied to y'all. I'm not really good with all three. And I'm going to tell you.
We knew that, man.
I'm going to tell you why. Now, this will, as far as Drake, I think he definitely belongs there when you get to Drake, Kendrick's, and your Coles. Kendrick, I believe, belongs there because he brought something. I think he brought something back to the game that was needed, that was absent for a while. Cole is the one that unfortunately gets chopped from the list for me. And it's the reason because of two people. And like I said, my fourth one is the one that I have the problem with because I think she should have been there the entire time, which is Nicki, which boots off Cole. And ultimately, Kanye definitely should be there, period, with what he was able to do and change. And I think Kanye really is the reason why you get a Tyler, the Creator, or you get a lot of these weird rappers these days. I hate to call them weird because we got the whole weirdo rap thing. But if you think of those rappers like Tyler, the Creator, even a Mahonin, YB Corday, or those, you kind of see kind of that formula of what Kanye brought in. And then also, man, my Dark Twisted Fantasy, that album, people arguably say is one of the greatest albums of the 2010s by itself alone. But then of course, you get Watch the Throne. You get this whole thing of stadium music. And I remember him saying that, like, I want to do stadium music, and him going above beyond. For me, Nicki, I agree with you. Like, she kind of comes off of that Little Kim formula. But I think the difference is Nicki being on the record with Eminem, Jay, and Wayne and slaying it by herself and literally becoming probably the dopest female artist of all, hip-hop female artists of all time, lyrically, I think is what puts her up there. Because I think because before that, we pretty much had an absence of female rappers. They just really wasn't too many. And then once Wayne finds Nicki and Drake and gets Nicki to where she needs to be, then you have this like unstoppable monster that's everywhere doing everything until her drop off. So I have to put Nicki there because then you get this birth of, because I mean, we had a Trina, which is, to an extent similar. But Trina didn't have this impact that Nicki had. Nicki's impact was just some other. And then I think when we get to that, we get Meg, we get Cardi, we get City Girls, we get all of these chicks now. And I think that if she doesn't come along and it reignite that fire, not only reignite that fire, but carry that mug for a minute, I think she brings back the rebirth of female rappers. Now, that's no slight on Remy Ma. That's no slight on Foxy. That's no slight on Kim. None of the female that came before. Rhapsody, Young Ma, anybody who was there during that time is just, even if you hated her, you had to just be like, yeah, she's carrying the torch right now for female artists. I mean, you didn't even hear from Missy around that time, you know? So that's why, unfortunately, like Cole should be on that Mount Rushmore. I would make it a 5 instead of a 4, because you do have, Cole does have, you know, Cole is a part of this era that's like slaying stuff. You can't deny it. But if we only got 4 slots, and I got to be realistic about it, Kanye's, oh my goodness. Like, I know we wanted to, you know, trade him out, you know, the trade him out because of what he said. But then when you look at his contributions and what he's done in just the 2010s, it's like, I don't see why he's not just there, period. And then the same with Nicki. I don't know why she's just not there. Like, but I would make it a 5 because I want Cole there. But nevertheless, that kind of just throws me over into my next question, man. Let's go. Fantasy. You know, I think we all pretty much came to a standard of agreeing who those top people were during the 2010s. But now, hey, we fans of music, so let's get to it, man. Let's completely like erase the entire Mount Rushmore of what we see at this current moment. Who is your Mount Rushmore? And I don't know if y'all want to do 2010s or if y'all just want to do period. Who will be your Mount Rushmore on a personal level? Because, you know, like Stanley said before, without a firm bit of criteria, we can go on forever of like who should be on this Mount Rushmore. We've seen people say Future. We've seen people say trying to think
Wayne.
We've seen people
Ross.
say Wayne, Ross. I mean, who you got? And we'll let G go last this time. I want to formulate it all together. Stanley, your first one. Who you got?
Yeah, man. So, you know, overall, like Mount Rushmore for hip hop, that one is hard.
Yeah.
4 people for all of hip hop is so hard because of how much hip hop has transformed from when it started to now. And if you think about, again, the traditional sense of around Mount Rushmore, then it has to be like forefathers, right? These are the early days that were laying the fabric of what we love and appreciate today. So it's hard to have anybody recent on a Mount Rushmore for me, for hip hop overall, because it's just like, well, you can't have a Drake without a Kanye. You can't have a Kanye without a Jay-Z and some other artists, and you can't have a Jay-Z. So you keep going back. So then you pretty much looking at like the first few like important acts of hip hop. But then for me, my personal preference of like who represents like all of hip hop, I put Snoop up there, and a lot of people would dismiss me for Snoop because I don't think enough people respect Snoop. But when you want to talk about somebody that even still today is relevant from a music perspective and beyond, Snoop was a gangster rapper on trial for murder. And you fast forward today, and he got a show with Martha Stewart. He was hosting a game show and like all of the different stuff. And he's been able to still have good music throughout that whole time. A lot of people just dismiss Snoop Dogg. They don't really like put him up there because he's not necessarily considered someone that's extra lyrical or whatever. But you want to talk about quality music, how to ride a beat, how to sound good and be consistent, and then to do it for a long period of time. I hold Snoop in a very high regard. Obviously, you got to have Jay-Z just out of respect for the game. I wasn't initially a big Jay-Z fan. It took me some years to really get into Jay-Z, but I respect like the fact that Jay-Z is one of the few really big time rappers, especially at his time where he was at the true height, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, where he didn't have any restrictions on what type of artists he would work with. Back in the day, a lot of people was just like, I'm only rapping on East Coast stuff. I'm only rapping on West Coast stuff. Jay-Z has rapped with all of your favorite rappers. And that's something that I think is a quality that not a lot of the biggest artists have. And that's something I really appreciate Jay-Z. Like I can go, all of my favorite rappers got a track with Jay-Z. And that speaks volumes to like how much people respect his craft and his ability. So got to have Jay-Z up there. Golly, man, it gets hard after that for me because, you know, again, you talk about like impact. And I mean, it's the default is obviously Tupac and Biggie. And as much as I want to like have them up there, it's tough because then it's just like, okay, well, what about Rakim? And what about LL Cool J? Because LL Cool J was very important to like being like a crossover of I can rap hardcore, but I can still pack out arenas and have women coming just as much as men coming to the show and being hype about it. And Rakim, just from like, you know, just the bars that he spit. You talk about all your favorite rappers, their favorite person, Rakim is always on their list as like somebody that heavily influenced them. And then you throw in Nas, and like from a lyrical standpoint, it's like, man, how do you leave off Nas? Even though I would argue Nas doesn't have as many like hits and the range is a little bit limited. I feel like he's kind of a narrow, like you're a pure hip hop person. But yeah, man, for me, if it was my personal preference of Mount Rushmore, it'd probably be Jay-Z, Snoop, Pac, and Biggie with some possibles that you could sub out for Pac, because I feel like Pac is maybe transcends hip hop a little bit and would be there more from the culture aspect. I feel like Pac's impact was more cultural than it was music. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just like he brought poetry. He brought a different level of consciousness. He brought I'm gonna share the stories that you don't normally hear in music from our community, and I'm gonna bring it onto a track and make you dance to it or think, you know, but you're gonna hear it. But when you think about like just like, I don't know, I look at Pac as almost like he's not even a hip hop artist. He's just like the hood poet. Like I don't know how to describe it, man. So it's a tough one for me, man. It's tough.
Gotcha,
yeah.
Gotcha. Yo, number 2, what you got?
Jay-Z.
Okay.
Jay-Z has done a lot of things for the game, and also as far as like moving people to think past just rapping. I think he's, you know, from like his business ventures to investments he's made to his wife, you know, to choosing like just the people that he chose to be around and stuff like that. Outkast. I am a true fan of Outkast.
I forgot Outkast. Sorry.
That's okay, Stanley.
They should be there. They should be there on mine.
They definitely.
It's two people though.
but they're a group. Like it's like it's hard for me, and I get what you're saying, Stanley, because it's like you're taking from like years. Like what is this 40 years now of hip hop, and you trying to break it down to 4 to find the most whatever you're looking at. But just for me, I do everything from a fan standpoint, from what I like, I personally like. That's why I'd be like, man, yeah, y'all come with better things than I do, because I'm just looking at it from what I like to listen to. But Jay-Z, Outkast, just because of what Outkast did for the South. You know, I know you had A-Ball, MJG. I know you had UGK and all of those groups. Master P is another one I will put up there. I just thought about that. Master P and what he had done for like my childhood. You know what I'm saying? And that fourth one, man, it's tough. Like I go back to Biggie and Pac because I tie them together. Like for me, their careers are tied together.
Yep.
Biggie doesn't get as big if it wasn't for Pac, and Pac doesn't get as big if it wasn't for Biggie. I think they both can stand alone. Like, don't get me wrong, both of these guys were very talented, but in the end, I think their because of the beef that happened, because of how they were killed and everything, I think forever they are tied together, and that did something to the game as well. So I would tie them together and put that, or you can say the East Coast, West Coast beef if you want to, but I would definitely put Biggie and Pac up there together.
Man, I'm just visualizing your Mount Rushmore. It's gonna be like Jay, and there's gonna be a logo for Outkast.
Yeah.
No, you got to put their faces, man. They got to have the two faces.
I think that's why I didn't throw them on there, because they didn't even, because like I was just thinking about individuals, and so I didn't even group Outkast as an individual. But you're right, man. Like Outkast should be there, but it's hard because again, it's Mount Rushmore. It's only supposed to be four faces. So what you do?
You put the two faces together, like
Put them half and half.
Half and half.
Jay-Z and
to get them up there,
like Jay and R. Kelly when they had the joint album. But that's the fun thing about this whole discussion is like, all right, how far can we go? What does yours look like? What does yours look like? I don't think it's ever a wrong answer because it's all subjective, which leads me to G, because I know G has probably a Mount Rushmore that is like probably incredible that I probably wouldn't even thought of.
Yeah,
or it might be similar to all of us.
Nah, he's
putting a lot of pressure on you, Greg. I hope you come in with something good. They put a lot of pressure on you.
They did put a lot of pressure on me, man. Like I'm just supposed to be this amazing thinker and shit.
But
like,
you are though. You are though.
like, bro, why I can't just have 4 niggas, bro? Let me just have 4 niggas and get it over.
Oh man.
But if I'm thinking about a Mount Rushmore, specifically for the purposes of what we doing right now, I'm gonna come at it from the perspective of myself as a rapper, and like people who like inspire me to want to rap. People who, when I listen to their shit, or I go to listen to their shit when I decide I want to make a song or something like that. And so mine would definitely have to start with Outkast. Like I would definitely do Outkast first, because at the time when I first started to rap, I think those were the people I was listening to the most, because I was coming late to the game because I had not really been around for when they were making their runs in the 90s and the 2000s. I was still young. But I was like a freshman or sophomore in college, and I was going back to retroactively pick up on some of the shit that they had laid down. And so I was like amazed to listen to some of the things that they had, because I knew about them. I mean, I grew up hearing fucking Sorry Miss Jackson and Roses and shit like that, but I never thought to like really go in and see who these people are, see what they're about, what kind of stuff they're really talking about in their albums. So definitely Outkast would go in there, because I just like what they bring to the table. Like I think if there's an act that you can put on the table and say, if you didn't have anything else to give to somebody to say, what is hip hop? You're going to get everything just out of just putting that act on the table. You're going to get everything that you need to know. You're going to get hits. You're going to get lyricism. You're going to get like diversity. You're going to get everything that you fucking need out of that one period is the end. So Outkast was started off. I think when I was going through that same period, like I said, I was heavy on Lupe Fiasco at that time. And I know he's a derivative of a lot of people that came before him as far as like what his lyricism looks like. But I think at this point, with shit like Mural, this nigga has like taken himself to a whole nother level as far as what you can do with words. Like how you can look at using words to paint pictures, which is where you get like the name Mural. But like you get so much that don't even make sense to you until you for real dissect it if you listening to a Lupe Fiasco. So after him, I'd have to go the Tommy route and do Big Crit. Just because I don't know of any other artist that I related to personally as much as I relate to listening to Big Crit. Like I hear so much Greg in those lyrics. I'd be like, nigga, yes, I know this, I know that, I know this. Like, yes, we are the same, nigga. We are the same. Especially when it comes to like just his affinity for like car music, like music that should be played in your fucking car. Because that's how I always have digested my music. Like you said, Stanley, it's like you got to do the car test, bro. Like
you gotta do the car test.
You cannot listen to an album just in headphones or just in the speakers in your house or just at the club. Like you gotta have a car. You got to be rolling down the street, seeing people and shit. Like you gotta get that experience. That's how we fucking digest music. Like where I'm from here in the South. And so a fourth person, this was where it's hard because I don't really know who to put there because it's other people who have had an impact. Like I'd like to put somebody like J. Cole because I did listen to J. Cole a lot when I was like in college, and I've continued to listen to him, but I don't know if it's the same as like I don't think it's been consistently the same amount over the time that I've been listening to him. So it would kind of be hard that I would right now I'm gonna say he's gonna hold that spot tentatively until I can for real think about it and be like, all right, I got a real reason for why this person is supposed to go there. Because I just would have to consider so many people at that point. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know who else I would put there. Because those other three people, I think they kind of, you know what? Fuck it. I got it. Slice that. Sorry, Cole. I'm going to put Currency right there. Because this nigga, Currency, is somebody that like, I feel like my journey with listening to Currency was a trip. Because it was like, I didn't want to listen to him. Like, I just didn't want to listen to his ass. Like, with Where the Cash at and the shit he was doing with Wayne and stuff, he was always, to me, like, third when we talk about, like, the beginning of the Young Money, where you got, like, Lil Wayne, Mac Main, Currency, them niggas. And it's like, I was looking at that, like, Currency, the boring nigga that come on at the end. Like, I don't really want to hear the Currency nigga. I want to hear Lil Wayne. I want to hear Mac Main. Then here go Currency coming in with his shit. But then over time, when he started to like pair up with some of the people that I liked, like he started working with Wiz a lot. Like Wiz kind of drew me in when I first got to college and shit. And I started listening to some of the stuff that Wiz was putting out. And I was like, this nigga got something going. But then he teamed up with Currency and it just like took the experience to a different level. Because I always felt like Currency was a more lyrical rapper than Wiz. And I thought that he had a better way of structuring his flows and stuff, even though it's kind of unorthodox and it don't make sense at first. But after you listen to it and you start to catch his pockets and shit, you be like, oh, I see what this nigga doing. I see what he's doing there. And then also Currency introduced me to a lot of shit. Like following his career through the 2010s and shit with him like working with Dame Dash and working with like them niggas in New York, it kind of allowed me to have different appreciation for that kind of music. Because up until that point, I ain't give a fuck about nothing that wasn't coming from the South. I ain't give a shit. Like, keep that shit in New York. Keep that shit on the West Coast. Like, keep all that shit. But like him working with some of those people, and like even to this day, now he work with like this nigga named Larry June from the West Coast. And like I see how that stuff fits in, and I see how like we have similarities to things that I can relate to from these areas with these artists he's worked with. And then just consistency's sake, like just something that inspires you to continue to fucking go. Like this nigga has, I think when we did an episode, they said he had put out like his 93rd project or some shit. Yeah. And I was like, who the fuck has 93 fucking projects and why?
I was going to ask you, Greg. I was going to ask you, like, how many, like, have you got through all of his projects? Have you actually listened to it?
Hell no. Like, and that's the good thing about Currency is like you can like take some time off and then just pick up where you left off, and it's fine. You don't have to go listen to everything. Like, it's going to be consistent. It's not like you're going to miss some shit. He going to do something different that you like, damn, I wish I would have caught that shit. Like, no, he going to still do that shit that he was going to do in 2018. He going to do that shit in 2021. Just over some different beats, maybe with a couple new artists. This is going to still be the same guy doing his thing. But yeah, that'll be my Mount Rushmore. The Outkast. I said Outkast, Big Crit, Currency, and that other person I just said. Lupe Fiasco.
Man, see, I told you. Didn't let me down at all.
So, man.
And once again, man, that's the cool thing about a list because, you know, with Thomas, you get that fan perspective. With Stan, I really think you get this analytical, deep thought and consideration perspective that you gotta have. And then with G, that unapologetic Southern that artist, that artist view on, I had to put the unapologetically Southern because he says it, but also that artist, that rapper's perspective that he's able to give. With me, and that's a great thing because it's gonna be to your perspective. So everybody who's listening, hey, down in the comments, if y'all don't mind, throw us your Mount Rushmore. I guarantee it's probably gonna be a bunch of different ones based on everybody's personal likes. With me, I worked in the business for 10 plus years. I've been listening to music for all my life. Tony would tell you, I probably introduced him to all of the music that he's listening to, except for that brief time of when we went to college and nobody talked to each other and then we came back.
Yep.
For me, it is I look at my Mount Rushmore of the people who, if they were never here, would the game still be the same? That's kind of how I look at mine from a business perspective, and then also from an artist perspective and everything around. Mine will probably consistently change as the game continues. But if I have to put 4 people on that Mount Rushmore, mine would consist of Master P. Cause I think what Master P did was revolutionary, and I think if he didn't do that, I don't think the South would be where it is today. I think we'll still be underground, but I think Master P's success took everything. That gave you a Cash Money, that gave you a Lil Wayne, that gave you Tip, Jeezy. That gave you the South, and that's no discredit to anyone that was from Rapid Live, A-Ball, MJG, any Memphis music, any Atlanta music. It's just what P did. Was the blueprint for a lot of other folks to be able to do the same. And he sold a lot of records. Let's be honest. They sold a lot of records. Maybe not the most lyrical, but yet still they made a tremendous impact. From there, for my Mount Rushmore, of course, I would have to put Jay on there. Jay-Z. I know some people will say, well, what about Big and what about, Rakim, Eric B, what about Africa Bambaataa and things like that. But I think Jay, where is Jay at now to where Jay was then? Business wise, you get Rockefeller. You see some of the dopest lyricists ever. You meet Dame Dash, which later on gives you probably at a certain point, because we still got to say, Cash. Even Currency was on No Limit for a time that I think about. It was. But, you get Dame Dash, then you get State Property. You get all this incredible stuff, and then you get a Kanye. You know what I'm saying? I think Jay's really instrumental in pushing the game forward, business-wise, music-wise. And therefore, so I would have to put Jay-Z up there as well. From there, of course, the last two are always the toughest ones to put on there, but I would have to put, this is my personal list, and I would have to put Eminem on there. Reason being, I think M was the reason why people really wanted to rap, and I'll be honest, I think it was the part of it where you got a white boy coming in here slaying everything, and it's like, okay, hold up. This is our sport. I think he elevated the game to a certain degree, because from there you get a 50 Cent, you get a G Unit, you get D12, the rebirth of Dr. Dre, to a certain extent, as well. So I really think that he doesn't get enough credit. I think he does belong up there. Now, we can argue about some other things later, but I think as far as pushing the game forward, I think Eminem has a place within that. And then from there, man, that last person, like G always said, man, that's the hardest thing, because I have like at least 3 people I can put in there. I want to put Dr. Dre in there, but I don't know if Dr. Dre pushed. I know Dr. Dre pushed it forward to a certain extent, because of course you don't get a Snoop, you don't have NWA, you don't have so much, but there is a point where I think Dr. Dre got so much of a perfectionist that we haven't heard from him in years. So man, the fourth one is always the most difficult, because you're looking around and like, all right, who else just really pushed the game forward? Who put who, if they wasn't here, would the game be the same? And for me, crap, man, I don't know. I really don't know. That's probably a really hard one. I would love to really say I kind of want to put Pac in there, only because it's the weird thing with Pac, right? He's an East Coast rapper, but when he goes to the West, it's like this whole resurgence of the West, but yet he's not actually from there, But yet the contributions that Pac put in there from, acting, rapping and all of that. But then again, once again, I can always take Pac out and put LL Cool J right there to be like, all right, if there's one person who, if you look at, is a bona fide legend and did some amazing things on pushing the game to the next level, LL Cool J would definitely be in the running for that, just based off of what he was able to do, creating an entirely another voice and lane that, people still to this day probably, I lost the word for it, capitalize on. That's what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that fourth one is always a tough one for me, because you can put Run DMC there, because the Adidas shoe deal, the crossover hit with Aerosmith. There's so many people that you can put in there. I'll let the people in the comments, man, who should I put as my fourth? But for now, I would put P, Eminem, and J at the moment, and then we can play with the fourth. We can alternate and see where it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's it for me. I don't have no more questions. I'm really I think we covered it. Other than that, all we can say is who would you not want to see on there? But I don't want to alienate anybody in the game. No. I think everybody who works hard deserves to be on someone's list somewhere. Mm-hmm. So if y'all ain't got no more, I ain't got no more. And Tommy, you can close us out.
All right. Man, this episode's been fun, man. I want to say thank you, Stanley.
Thank y'all for letting me hop on here, man.
I know, I was excited when we started talking about it. And of course, your name came up because of what we was talking about with Crit and everything, man. And I always enjoy talking to you, Stanley, man. You always bring a different perspective to a lot of things. So I appreciate you for that as well, man. I look forward to us all linking up some point in time in the future, man. So it's always a good time with the old Stan Dingo. My man. But hey, once again, thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Speaker Geekers podcast. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, via Google Podcasts, via Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Spotify, wherever you listen to. Go subscribe so you can hear the new episode every Tuesday. If you haven't already, please go follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at Speaker Geekers Podcast, as well as you can follow me on Instagram at I am Tommy T the Third. You got Steve at the Great Steve O Steve, and you got Greg at instantly_G. Stanley, would you let the people know where they can follow you at? And
you know what? That's a tough one for me to answer. I didn't got to the point in my life where I don't really care about having followers on social media. I get on social media to laugh at funny stuff, to keep up with the youth and what's happening in the world, and to talk about music and movies, man. But I think my Instagram name is Dingo the King. I don't even know if my profile is open. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm getting on social media, and if it ain't funny, if it ain't about music or movies, I'm probably not you know what I mean? So, but I'll come back to the podcast if the people want me. If y'all will let me, I'd love to come on here and talk about anything, man. I got plenty of opinions about a lot of stuff. So,
yeah. Man, you're welcome anytime, man. I think I hit everything. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Hey, you think somebody put Plies on their list?
This nigga right here.
Steve.
Always Plies. This man was Plies. Tommy with that
baby.
Steve with Plies.
Like,
we ain't found Greg's yet.
I ain't got one, damn it.
Somebody out there.
Man. That's too funny.
Somebody gonna put Soulja Boy, and you could argue. You could argue Soulja Boy. You could argue Soulja Boy.
You don't have a lot of you don't have a lot of the digital age if you know. So if Crank That doesn't get as big as it does on YouTube, so that's a very good point. I think a lot of people kind of
they skim over that, man. There would be no influencers if it wasn't for Soulja Boy.
Yeah. Crap.
That's true.
You put Uncle Luke on the list? Maybe Uncle Luke should be on the list.
It's a tough, man. 4 people. That's why you got to do something like decades or lyrics. Right. You have to break it up. Some criteria. You got to have some criteria.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, with that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.
Peace out.